The last couple of weeks, Kath, my thoughts have been a little bit all over the place, right? I've got my daughter getting married in a few weeks' time. We've got family coming. I've got a dress that I want to wear to this wedding.
It's all so exciting.
It is exciting. But what is fascinating is the way I've recognized I've been thinking. I, Literally, I want to fit this dress. I've
Yes.
been shopping, bought this dress. It's a little bit too tight at the moment. So, I'm like, oh, I need to do this, that, and the other. But the minute I eat the wrong thing, I'm like, okay, well, I may as well just eat everything because it's a bad day. So I just give up, throw in the towel. And I start to beat myself up and just think, why can't I be consistent? Why can I not consistently do what I know I need to do and what I want to do and
Yeah.
all of that? But then
Oh, I tell you, yeah, I mean, this is like, haven't we all been there before and asked that question at some point, like,
yeah, and I think
how
we've
can
even
I
done
be more
podcasts before
consistent?
on it. I think we've even talked about it previously, and yet here I am again.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, then I saw this really cool visual on Instagram. Look,
Thank
sometimes
you,
it speaks
Instagram.
life. Sometimes
Yeah,
it
yeah,
has these moments.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if everyone listening can sort of imagine this row of cups that are, three quarters filled perfectly, maybe eight cups in a row, and they're all
Yes,
filled with liquid to that point. And
to that point. So
to
they look
that
the
point,
same.
yeah. So in my
Mm.
mind, that's consistent. That's how you show up, perfectly filled up cups, all equal, day in, day out, consistent. But the visual said this is real consistency. And it shows a cup full, a cup almost empty, a cup half full, three quarters full, a quarter full, a third full. This row of cups where they're not perfect. And I looked at those cups and I thought, that is where my thinking is
Okay, so
completely
just for clarification, so am I understanding this correctly that
sure.
we think sometimes that consistency means the row that is full to the same. So it looks like equal looking things day in and day out.
100%.
But what the post was saying that what if consistency doesn't necessarily need to look like that, but what if consistency actually looks like these cups that are not equal? Yes, there's liquid in each of them, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's full and sometimes it's hardly got much. Am I
That's
hearing you right?
beautifully
Okay.
articulated, Kat. That is perfectly it. And here's why it was such a light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
I think I have been confusing consistency with perfection, getting it exactly right every day. And if I don't, oh well,
Yeah.
I'm not consistent. Just give up today and we'll start again tomorrow. So I've got this constant battle in my head of going, oh, I need to get to a certain point. I have this certain standard. And if I don't make it, oh well, not
Yeah.
consistent. And then I'm battling with myself, oh, why can't you be more consistent? Spending all this energy in that space. And so I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person. And I wanted to have this conversation today.
Well, thanks for bringing this to the table. And you're definitely not on your own because I can completely relate. And, what you're saying makes amazing sense. So I'm
Mm.
sure it makes sense for a lot of people listening. So my question, Al, I'm really curious to hear more. So when you kind of had that light bulb,
Mm.
um, how did that shift things for you? Or what was that light bulb actually for you?
When I realized it's not about perfection, it's
Yeah.
about showing up and doing what is in your hands and what you're able to do that day, then I can do that.
Yeah.
And while I still have, we can still have high expectations for the way we want to live. Like, let's think about health and particularly because I want to fit this dress, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I can, and I look over my life and, I'm healthy and I'm fit and I'm
Yeah.
strong and yet, in my head, I'm beating myself up because why can't I just do the right thing 100% of the time, all of the time? I'm part
Yeah.
of the human race. with ebbs
Yeah.
and flows, with hormones, with different ways of enjoying things and socializing and I think it just gave me this freedom to realize that I don't have to have it perfectly right every single day. It's not about perfection.
Yeah.
It's not about perfection. And it just, I don't know, I was able, felt a lot more at ease
Yes.
and I'm able to be kind to myself. If I look over my life and go, oh, actually, Al, you are pretty consistent, I can start looking at myself with through a filter of, kindness and
Yeah.
love and support. And who knows that when we look at ourselves through that kind of filter, I'm going to be much more motivated to make better choices rather than beating myself up. What am I going to do? If I'm beating myself up, I'm just going to be mean to myself.
Yeah.
And that's not going to motivate me to do the right thing. Then I'll just, not just eat the block of chocolate. I'll, drink the bottle of wine too.
Oh, I think we've all been there before. And it reminds me of, again, I mean, we quote from Stephen Covey's Seven Habits quite, we've quoted him before on the
Yeah,
podcast, I
lots.
know that. But it reminds me of one of his uh I suppose Seven Habits or approaches to living
Okay.
life well and living life effectively. And he talks about sort of the measure, because you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
the measure of things, right? And you're
Mm.
reframing what consistency means for you. So in the past, perhaps your measure of consistency was perfection.
Mm.
And he says often we will measure things on a day by day. Like, well, it's just, I mean, we're talking about health. So let's talk about exercise as an example.
Mm.
And he says you might say to yourself that in order to be healthy, I need to exercise, um, you know, I need to do a half-hour run every day.
Yeah.
And he says often that's the kind of language which almost drives what you were showing with those cups that look the same. So each day I
Mm.
need to go and run half an hour in order to say to myself, I've been healthy,
I've been, yeah.
which is like almost the perfection piece.
Hmm.
It's got to look like this every day. And he was suggesting what it could look like if rather than saying, oh, I need to do X, Y, Z every day to be whatever I
Mm-hmm.
hope to be, what could it look like if we take a big step back and we chunk the time in weeks rather than days?
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
was saying over a week. So how could consistent exercise look for you over a week, which looks more like, if those cups, represented each day, some days are fuller and some days are
Yeah.
leaner,
Yeah.
but overall, there's a certain amount overall in the week that you've done.
That's right.
And I remember thinking, gosh, that is so freeing because it
Yeah.
means then if today I have had a bad day and I haven't exercised, it's okay because I'm not measuring it day by day. I've got this idea of over the week, I
Yeah.
would like to exercise like, I don't know, 4 times in the week. And
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it just gives that room for flexibility.
Yeah. And
So rather
the
than consistency being perfect, what if
yeah,
consistency can be more flexible?
I love that. And with flexibility, that removes the mindset of failure when you don't
Yes.
meet it. So it's about being flexible and still having that standard and these goals and all of those things. But it's removing the fact of well, for me, even though I know, in the coaching space, there's no such thing as failure, it's only feedback. And I'm saying that and kind of rolling my eyes at the same time because, but in this space, often it is if we've got perfection as consistency, for me, if I'm interchanging those, it gives room for
Yes.
for failure. Rather,
Well, the
it's
feedback is that, oh, I failed because I didn't get it right, or I didn't,
I didn't do
measure
it.
it to that
That
standard.
stays
Yeah,
standard.
yeah.
And whereas with an idea of flexibility, that also reminds me, actually, I saw this quote from C.S. Lewis. Hang on, I'll just have a look on my phone. C.S. Lewis says, isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when you look back, everything's different. So this is looking at a bigger picture. Sometimes we won't feel it. And consistency, isn't a feeling of showing up to a certain standard every single day and getting it 100% right and being, perfect. It's this idea that over a period of time, everything's shifting, everything's
Yeah,
changing.
yeah. And shifting
Mm,
towards where you want to go. And this, I mean, we talk about going where the life is, and I think
mm,
this is why sometimes it's really useful to, what it is, it's so useful to have that sense of uh, where am I heading? Like the
yeah.
North Star, what I want that to look like. In your case, in the short term, it's I want to get into that wedding dress,
Yeah.
but in the long term, I mean, I
Yeah.
know you and I've got to know you really well. And in the long term, what I do know about you is
Mm,
you value your health. You
mm,
value feeling healthy. I know that it's important to you, what you do put in your mouth
mm,
and regular exercise. And so the North Star um, short term could be the dress, which could turn the volume
hmm.
dial up on the pressure of consistency or, whatever
Yeah,
that looks
agreed.
like. But in the long term, yes, it's healthy, but how can healthy look when
Mm,
healthy is also flexible and kind and compassionate, but it's still nonetheless healthy? And
yeah.
because you've had a day where, it was the chocolate and the wine, that doesn't mean that, oh gosh, Ellie's suddenly like unhealthy or
Inconsistent
suddenly,
and failing at life.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And
it's
it,
funny how that's where the mind often easily goes. Well, for
yes,
me, it
yeah,
often
yeah,
shifts to that space very, very easily. And it wasn't until I saw that visual and went, oh, it's because I'm confused that consistency means perfection. Actually, no, doesn't mean perfection. We can be flexible in our consistency, showing up day in, day out, and it can just look a bit different. But the
yeah.
overarching, um,
You're still heading on the right path in the direction you want to
yeah,
go to, but you're just
yeah,
some days going quicker, some days going slower, some days taking a break,
yeah.
but you're still heading where you want to get to
That's
ultimately.
right. And then we're not
Yeah.
holding resentment towards, our schedules if some days are just really busy and
Yes.
and kids may take up some more time or, we may have people visiting or things happening in our world that sort of prevent us from being as consistent perhaps as we would like. But it doesn't mean I'm no longer inconsistent. It doesn't mean that I can still be consistent.
Yeah. And it's interesting because while you're sharing, I'm also thinking about, I recently had a coaching conversation where I was being coached, and it was around, what I came up with was the thing that I needed that grounds me
Mm,
for setting up a good day is sort of my morning routine.
right.
And part of that
Yeah.
morning routine, looks like spending time, reflecting, reading, praying, and then getting some kind of exercise.
Mm,
And again, so on this topic, yes, in an ideal world, it would be wonderful to be able to consistently schedule an hour because, I
mm,
think on the days where I feel like I'm really able to do all that, it takes about an hour, hour and a
hmm.
half sometimes. But reality is that not every day looks that way.
No.
And so after that call, I did set out to think, right, okay, so this next week, this is what I'm going to do every morning. And that's, I think, where I catch myself. It's every morning I need to do, that's the
Mm,
story in your head. And so did my next week look like that perfectly? Absolutely not.
hmm.
However, it brought to my awareness that like going for walks in nature are so important for me.
Mm,
So it just helped me to remember on those days where I was feeling a little bit more wobbly or a little bit like, life's just getting too out of control at the moment. Finding a time, even just 20 minutes to go for a
yeah.
walk. And sometimes it was the afternoon late, and sometimes it could be the morning. And I've got this little book of sort of daily readings and reflections and meditations and prayer that it just does. It's going where the life is. It's food for my soul,
Mm,
and I can be flexible with that too. I don't
yeah.
have to have this whole hour and a half set aside to do that. And so this week, this book has followed me a little bit more closely because it's sometimes in my study, sometimes in my bedroom, sometimes upstairs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's just making moments that I know are going to help lead to, again, that overarching. So have I been more consistent overarching? Probably I have because
Hmm.
it's been at the forefront of my
Yeah.
attention that, these things are good for me. They help me
Yeah.
to be the person I want to be. But
Mm,
have I consistently done them perfectly. Absolutely not, you know?
No.
Yeah.
Goodness me. There is a big difference. And I'm so glad we're talking about this today and discovering. I'm so glad I've discovered this week. It's not about perfection.
Yeah.
It's not about
It's
that.
it's interesting, isn't it, how so easily we, for some reason, get caught up and hooked by perfection without even recognizing that that's what's going
Yeah.
on, and that it takes intention to let go of
Mm.
perfection and, to gift yourself something that, and it's not about lowering. I love that you shared earlier. It's not about lowering your standards,
No.
but it is about being more real
Yeah.
and kinder.
Kind, gracious. Mm.
And also, gosh, the energy that we expend in trying to be
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
It's exhausting,
It is exhausting. I give myself a good hiding sometimes in my brain, in my thoughts. It's ridiculous, that amount of energy. And how much more useful is it to spend it elsewhere?
Yeah, yeah.
So being more flexible, but still realizing that that is overarchingly being consistent. I just think, I hope everyone listening today, you have had a great reminder that it's not about being perfect in how you show up. It is about consistency can look different each day. Some days you're going to be more, you're going to show up to a certain degree, and then other days it's going to look different based on time, energy, health, people, work, everything else. But we can still be consistent and we can still show up how we would like to. Because overarchingly, if we know who we want, how we want to show up, if we know who we want to be, we can keep that as our goal and show up how we can each day. Be kind.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
Elle, I've got no doubt in my mind that you are going to look gorgeous in that dress come wedding day.
I'm still not sure, but anyway, yeah, there's still a few weeks to work out what I'm wearing, and at the end of the day, it's not about me; it's about my, the bigger picture. But it'd be nice to wear the dress that I bought.
Well, I really look forward to hearing all about it when the day comes. And
Mm,
yeah, just have loved this conversation. Thanks,
yeah.
Elle.
Thanks for letting me share. Have a great week, Kath.
Cheers.